and welcome to today's video. Today we'll be talking about backgrounds. I know it's scary, I myself haven't got much experience drawing backgrounds, so we'll be going on this journey to learn together. I mostly have experience drawing portraits, but I have experimented with backgrounds and perspective before, which I'll put on the screen now, but this is my first time trying to draw outdoor buildings. I hope you all enjoy the video, so make sure to sit back and relax, maybe draw along with me and let me know what you came up with in the comments below. So backgrounds are super important to storytelling. With portraits, you can fit a lot of storytelling in a face, even without body language. You can allude to elements of a character's story or personality through how deep set their eyes are, or if they have any scars or markings. Backgrounds are the same concept, squeezing in as much storytelling as you can in the space you've given yourself. In the research stage, this will be your chance to find different building styles you like, street layouts, or maybe colour schemes you want to incorporate into the art. In this stage, it's good to have an idea of what you want to draw. For me, I'm drawing a city in Etheria. It is called Luminicity, and it serves as a melting pot for cultures to meet and share stories and trade. Something I wanted to keep in mind is that I wanted a Victorian steampunk aesthetic. Magic and herbal energy is important in Etheria, so I worked this into the city with electricity. The vampires run the city and have an agreement with the dwarfs to monopolize Lumina crystals, which are mined in the Ethereum mountains, so that Luminicity is powered by these crystals. It is processed underground and distributed through pipes directly into buildings and homes. This is storytelling I wanted to incorporate into my world. Also, having things like this in mind before you even start your drawing can really help to build a lived-in world that feels like it has depth beyond what you actually see on the page. When drawing perspectives, there are a few things to keep in mind. I did lots of research and built a large mood board with real photos of streets and other artworks that I liked. I created multiple thumbnails with different perspective and composition. There are two main points of perspective I looked at personally, 1 point and 2 point. I will link below the article that I used to help me understand it a little more, because I just know I won't have the articulation to explain it. For this drawing, it's important to know that I did 2 point perspective. In short, there are two different directions my main lines are facing. They aren't parallel, they meet off screen. And when placing the horizon line where these lines meet, you want to keep in mind where the eye level the viewer is looking at is. I will show you a brief little diagram of what that looks like to me, and I will also link below the article that I used to help me understand a little bit better. A little tip I have for trying to find the center of something in perspective is to draw an X from corner to corner, and wherever those two lines meet, that is where the center is. It's not always black and white, like don't just eyeball it, because there is an actual center, and if you eyeball it, you might get it wrong. So that's my little trick for how I found the center of this building. I'm using Procreate to create this drawing. I've been using Procreate for years, so I feel like I'm quite adept at the software. The perspective grid is super helpful when drawing perspective. I started out with 1 point, and when it came to drawing the other lines, I added my second point in. This is because I was having a really hard time visualizing how it was supposed to look, because I have a hard time visualizing in 3D anyway, so this was a helpful trick that I used to help speed up my process. When drawing backgrounds, I think it's really important to highlight specific things to include in your piece. For me, it was a city in the background and only a couple buildings in the foreground. You can break this down in very simple shapes and add the details later. Another thing I want to note is that when laying down your values, the further away something is, the lighter it is. I think this is because of fog, but it's a good rule of thumb to use. I think the further something is, has more details as well. I learned all of this from Bob Ross when I was younger, so it's where I learned a lot of the fundamentals of backgrounds and perspective, so I'll be sure to link a few of those in the description as well. I'm sure you can tell by now I had a lot of trouble with this building here. I'm trying to turn it into a flat corner. I don't want the corner to be visible, I want it to be flat, and I just had such a hard time figuring it out. And I also put a circular roof on it, so it was a bit challenging to figure out what it was supposed to look like, and around this point is when I put my second point of perspective in to help me visualize what it was supposed to look like. the circular roof was definitely the most challenging part of this drawing for me, because I've never done that before, and I just knew it didn't look right when I was drawing it. So it took me a very long time to figure out how to draw that correctly. What I ended up doing was drawing a perfect circle and then using the distort tool in Procreate to distort the shape of the circle to the box, and that was what helped me get the shape of the circular roof. So all of that drawing I was doing was for nothing, so all I had to do was draw a circle. So don't make the same mistake that I did. You know that you can just draw a circle, fit it to the box, and you're on your way. Backgrounds are super intimidating, but don't let that sway you. You can start small with just one building. It doesn't have to be placed in perspective. Just do a head-on facade and then maybe distort it and draw on top of that, and boom, you have a building in perspective. It's about slowly working up. I'm proud of this drawing, but I can also see that the next drawing I did improved so much more. There's nothing wrong with the other drawing. Take a look at these two artworks I did. Can you tell which one was made first? Let me know in the comments which one you think came first, A or B. I'll give you a couple of seconds. If you said A, congratulations, you're right. A is the newer drawing. So I was able to use what I learned from perspective in the older drawing and put all of that knowledge into the new one. And the whole idea of showing you this is that progress comes in so many different ways, and I'm not ashamed of the older drawing. I really like the older drawing, but don't be disheartened if your drawing doesn't look exactly how you pictured it in your head. It is completely okay. Everything is a learning process, and even if it doesn't turn out how you envisioned it in your head, you will be able to use what you learned to improve the next drawing that you make. So right now I'm placing the values of my drawing, and I used this artwork as an inspiration for my values, and it follows the exact same rules of the further away something is, the lighter it's going to be in value, and the closer it is, the darker it's going to be in value. So that's a really important fundamental that I'm trying to follow in this drawing. After I place my values, I'm gonna go in and do my line art layer. Well, it's my sketch line art layer. This is the point where I go in and add in any details that I want to be in the drawing. This is my process. Like, I do like 10 sketch layers, so I'm still on a sketch layer right now, and that's okay. Like, I've got the basic shapes, and now I'm just seeing like any details that I want to add, and then usually when I get to the refining stage, I'll add in more details. But in the case of this drawing, I was just very burnt out from it, so I ended up just following the line art pretty closely, but that's okay too. So after laying down my values, I start playing around with colour, and typically my process, I colour very briefly in black and white, and then I place a gradient map over it to get the general idea of what the colours may look like. Of course, I'll change it and I'll add to it and experiment a lot, but it kind of just gives me an idea of like what the colours of the overall drawing will look like. That's why I think doing thumbnails is so important. So your drawing can turn out completely differently depending on which version of the colours you're going to go for. After laying down my gradient map, I decided to go in and render on top of it, and I decided to take a very painterly approach to this drawing, which I'm not used to. Typically I do everything in specific layers and stuff like that, but this was a new process for me. So I was using Divine's brushes in this, so I'll have them linked below as well, because they were super helpful for like getting those little details on the path. Anyway, we are coming to the end of the video, guys, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and got to learn a little bit about perspective and backgrounds with me. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you'd like to keep up with my art before then, you can follow me on my socials, which will be linked in the description below. Bye!